I've got total confidence that we're prevailing. It is working well.
The president says it is not time for the ground war against Iraq, at least not yet. Well, please do that.
The war is calling some Hoosier doctors to duty. Coming up tonight, a report on Indiana doctors on call for the military.
And can your family finances pass the broke test? Our special reports may break your budget on this Monday, February 11th.
Live from the heart of Indiana, Tom Cochrun and Ryder. Bob Gregory's exclusive AccuWeather. Don Hein sports team with Ronnie Duncan Sports Spotlight. This is News Center 13 Primetime. The news starts now.
Good evening. The Commander-in-Chief of American forces in Saudi Arabia says the air war is not over.
This comes as Israel and Saudi Arabia face new Scud attacks. President Bush says the Allies are not yet ready to start the ground war, though he feels much better, more confident after his briefing with his top two military advisors. Our coverage tonight begins in Washington. A live Skypath report. Here's Skip Loescher now.
There will be no ground war for a while. The president says he is very pleased with the way the air war is going and intends to continue it. Mr. Bush's comments followed a briefing from Defense Secretary Cheney and from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Colin Powell, who returned from Saudi Arabia last night. Cheney and Powell reportedly told the president that some U.S. commanders in Saudi Arabia believe the air war should continue for another 3 to 4 weeks, that there are still plenty of Iraqi targets left to hit, and that the round-the-clock bombing is having a big psychological effect on Iraqi troops. But Pentagon sources say that does not mean the ground war won't begin before then. That's the president's decision. And we're told he has to consider domestic and international political climates as well as the military one.
The air campaign has been very, very effective, and it will continue for a while. We're not talking about dates for further adding to the air campaign, put it that way. We are going to take whatever time is necessary to sort out when a next stage might begin. If they come to me and say there needs to be another phase, then I will then make that decision.
And the air raids do continue. One major bridge in Baghdad was destroyed, another heavily damaged by weekend bombing, which also destroyed a petrochemical plant and an oil refinery in the port city of Basra. PLO Chairman Yasser Arafat says Iraq has suffered so much damage that Saddam Hussein will soon have no reason to end the war. And Saddam told his people that he has no intention of giving up until Iraq has achieved total victory. As if to emphasize that point, more Scud missiles were fired at both Israel and Saudi Arabia today. U.S. Patriot missiles intercepted them all. Some debris did fall to earth, but it caused little damage and no injuries. U.S. planes flew 750 combat missions over Kuwait in the past 24 hours, all designed to cripple the Iraqis' ability to fight. And the air war will continue, the president saying he hasn't yet decided when a ground war should begin. Live in Washington, I'm Skip Loescher.
And now here is the latest look at the toll of the war on U.S. and Allied forces. Desert commanders report 12 Americans have been killed in action since the war began, with 28 others listed as missing in action. Pentagon reports 8 American prisoners of war. Allied forces have flown more than 69,000 missions against Iraq. 29 Allied planes have been lost, including 15 American aircraft. Then there is the environmental toll. Crews are working along the shores of the Persian Gulf this evening in an effort to clean up the oil spill Allies believe was caused by Iraq. There are now at least 3 oil slicks. One is along the central coastline of Saudi Arabia, measuring about 500,000 barrels of oil. The latest estimates from environmentalists predict winds from the northeast will move the slicks even closer to shore.
A reserve security unit at Grissom Air Force Base is being called to active duty in support of Operation Desert Storm. Members of the 434th Security Police Flight will report on Friday to Grissom. They will then be sent to an Air Force base in South Dakota to fill in for active duty personnel who are serving in Saudi Arabia. Air Force officials say the unit will likely remain on duty for the next year. Desert Storm is claiming a number of victims that are not immediately obvious. Medical facilities in Indiana that are losing doctors and nurses deployed to duty in the military. Jim Condelis takes a look at 2 examples.
It's a typical Monday at the Citizens Health Center on the near north side. Typical, that is, except OB/GYN Dr. Bennett Desideer is no longer here, called away to serve in Operation Desert Storm. And for this busy clinic, the loss of just one doctor hurts.
Finding a physician who has the inclination to practice in our setting is very difficult. To replace a physician like that is almost impossible.
Is it putting a crimp in the activities here and treatment?
Well, people have to wait longer. We have to squeeze them in. We have to work harder. We were already short-staffed.
At the Roudebush Veterans Affairs Medical Center, where support is strong for Desert Storm soldiers, Dental Services Director Dr. Richard Smith says the center's only oral surgeon has been deployed to the war effort.
Dr. Campbell was our oral surgeon for the dental clinic in the hospital, and of course we miss him very much. However, we do have contingency plans that we can handle all oral surgery that might come our way.
But for smaller clinics with lesser means, when medical personnel are deployed, it means more of a strain on those back home.
And as the Citizens Health Center's Dr. Wright told me, it will be next to impossible to replace the doctor who's gone to active military duty. With 100 patients or 150 patients a day there, they need all the help they can get. Yeah?
Sure. Overall, Jim, are the medical centers hurting?
Well, now, statewide, no, they say. The Indiana Hospital Association says the state hasn't been hit hard yet by call-ups, but at the VA hospital, as many as 60 staff members could be called up. The real threat is, should casualties mount in the war, demanding a mass call-up of available medical reservists. Let's all hope that that doesn't happen.
Exactly. That'll have a huge ripple effect. Okay. Thank you, Jim.
See you in a bit, Jim. There are concerns tonight the United States may be overstepping UN resolutions in the concentrated bombing of Iraq when the resolution gives sanction to merely forcing Iraq out of Kuwait. It is a shared assessment of U.S. lawmakers and a top Soviet official. UN members thought the main strategy would be to disable strategic facilities inside Iraq, but some don't believe that is happening. Two Indiana lawmakers have differing views about the U.S. military strategy.
Our flyers have taken inordinate risks in order to spare civilians and to spare civilian situations. And the Iraqis have, in fact, put aircraft in civilian neighborhoods. We believe Saddam himself is using the cover of civilian neighborhoods. But scrupulously we've kept out, and that's why they know that they're safe.
I do not think American policy should be to destroy Iraq. I think it's in our interest after this war to have a balance of power.
In the meantime, both Indiana lawmakers say they are not convinced that ground war is inevitable. Now we'd like to know what you think of this issue, so we are opening our Pulse survey lines. Here is tonight's question. Are the Allies going beyond the United Nations mandate to liberate Kuwait? To vote, call our Pulse survey lines at 239-1013. We'll have early results later in the hour. And
The Salvation Army is sending special Valentines to Indiana's troops in the Persian Gulf. That project is called Operation Red Shield. The Salvation Army has collected care kits to send to soldiers for Valentine's Day. Families with loved ones in the Gulf sent postcards to be used as mailing labels. Salvation Army officials say they have received more than 300 cards. The care kits contain necessities for the Desert Storm soldiers and are the Salvation Army's way of supporting the troops.
tomorrow night, our panel of experts will again be here to answer your concerns, your calls about Desert Storm. The daily reports on Desert Storm have an emotional toll, so News Center 13 and Community Hospital are providing a special panel of experts to address war-related emotional issues. That is tomorrow night, beginning at 5 o'clock here on Primetime.
Before we check on the Mideast weather with Bob Gregory, we want to tell you how you can get a special map to help follow the news headlines. Many stores are sold out of maps, so News Center 13 is making these available. Just send a written request to P.O. Box 1313, Indianapolis, zip code 46206, and we'll send a map out to you right away.
These are excellent maps, by the way.
Mm-hmm. They really are good.
They'll be good to use in your own home, and they're good for the student as well.
Great.
You can tell they have a surface that you can do some work on.
Mm-hmm. Terrific. Well, Bob Gregory is out there with a look at the return of our winter weather.
Well, it does. It's a little chilly. The kid's wearing the earbuds because the wind chill is at 11 degrees right now, but finally plenty of blue sky out here, but it feels very crispy. Well, we get down to near normal or below for us. Normal high this time of year is at 37 for us. Things are warming up out in the Mideast. Normal high temperature right now in Riyadh is 73. In Kuwait City, normal high is at 65 degrees. Here's the picture of what their weather is going to look like tomorrow as you take a look at this map, and you can see the expected high-low temperatures there, but the weather really should be rather quiet. There'll be some clouds over the northern part of Iraq, but to the south, skies are expected to be partly sunny and dry conditions. Take a look at a neighborhood here on the eastern side of Indianapolis. This is the Cullen Court area, displaying flags as so many homes and neighborhoods are throughout Indiana, throughout the country, as a matter of fact, today, so we thought we'd share that with you. The clouds have broken away now. We have sunny skies downtown. Out at the airport, it may be overcast there, 32, humidity at 56%, northwest wind at 14, so that gives us a wind chill of 11 degrees, and a barometric pressure that's at 30.16, and it is rising. We'll have some moisture coming our way a bit later on in the week, but for most of the day, Indianapolis was covered up with cloudy skies, and off to the north and east, they had the edge on sunshine. You should take a look out here now. We are under sunny skies, and you can just see the edge of the clouds as they will continue to push away to the southwest and the southeast, and leaving us with a rather clear and a rather cold night. As a matter of fact, maybe the coldest of the month. I'll talk more about that indoors for you in 20 minutes.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
One of the biggest issues of the year is before Indiana lawmakers this week.
The bargaining is beginning for state workers with major questions tonight about what it will cost Indiana taxpayers.
But we have a lot of work to do. The total renovation is going to be about 2 years.
That is one man's dream of adequate housing for lower-income Hoosiers. You'll meet a Hoosier hero. Plus, tonight, Ronnie Duncan's Sports Spotlight shines on Sugar Ray Leonard. It's all later here on Primetime.
It's tax time. Do we pay you in savings or do we pay the tax man? Your Dodge dealers have until February 28th to clear the decks or pay Indiana inventory taxes. Get a great clearance deal. Plus, total savings up to $1,250 on Dodge Spirit, up to $1,200 on Shadows, up to $1,357 on Caravans, and up to $4,370 on Dodge trucks. Hurry in before the 28th, because we'd rather pay the savings to you than pay the tax man.
Stop by and see the advantages your Indiana Dodge dealer has to offer.
Noble Romans wants to warn you of the return of a monster so gigantic, so colossal, so enormous in size, it will satisfy the hungriest of appetites. It's back. Noble Romans Monster Pizza. Featuring a lot more toppings and extra cheese at no extra cost. You ordered a monster?
You sure did.
It looks great.
Noble Romans Monster Pizza. A lot more toppings and extra cheese at no extra cost. It's a monster.
It's impossible. Georgia red clay ground into my son's uniform. It's impossible to keep his pants white. I didn't even think Tide with bleach could get them white.
You'll see. Take a dirty sock. Gets only this white with other detergents, but Tide with bleach gets it gleaming white.
They looked as good as if I'd used liquid bleach. He looked great. Thanks, Tide. Jan Ralston.
If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide.
What you want when you want it. When I started Drug Emporium, that's what we delivered. Now we've totally redone our Indianapolis stores so we can do it better than ever. We have the biggest selection of health and beauty aids at deep discount prices every day. During our re-grand opening, we've got some deals you just can't pass up.
Don't miss out on free film developing using the Kodak Color Watch system and Kodak paper. And save on Coke and all Coke products. 24-pack cans, just $3.99. Drug Emporium's grand reopening going on now.
The debate over one of the most hotly contested issues facing Indiana lawmakers was waged in a House committee today. Bill Hassan reports the governor's collective bargaining bill was the central issue.
The governor's proposal is modeled after Iowa's collective bargaining law. Republicans are concerned about the cost.
There are 5 states that are now in reduced work weeks trying to meet their budgets. And in each of those, they cited collective bargaining agreements as part of the problem.
I don't know what the cost is, but we hear a lot about exaggerated wage claims. We hear a lot about busting the bank. And I just felt it was time to bring a little bit of reality here.
The governor's office argues Iowa's public employee wage increases over the last 10 years under collective bargaining have actually run less than Indiana's. House Bill 1725 does not cover local government employees or employees of state educational institutions. The testimony for and against centered on 3 issues. The cost. Will increased wages lead to a tax hike? Strikes.
It is almost universally true
across this country that where a collective bargaining statute goes into place, strikes increase.
You're wanting education for all of our children, and yet you don't want a state employee to be able to put their children on through college? I think that's deplorable, and I don't believe that's what the taxpayer expects.
Labor groups point out that more than a third of state workers make less than $15,000 a year, and some make wages below the poverty level. The third major point of contention has to do with granting governmental authority to a third party. Business groups argue the legislature will be giving away part of their control over the cost of government to labor unions with no accountability to the general public.
House Bill 1725 was passed by the Labor Committee on a 7-3 vote. This particular proposal is narrower in scope than House Bill 2033, which was passed by the committee last week. That proposal grants collective bargaining to virtually all public employees. Tom?
Bill, is this breaking along party lines?
This debate is breaking along party lines, and it's interesting that Labor feels there's a lot of pressure on the governor. This is third session to come through. They feel controlling the House. They're very optimistic this session, and this is the third time this has been up when they feel that they've had more cards in their favor. Now the governor, now the House, they're very optimistic, and it is on partisan lines.
Okay, we'll get more from you down the road. Bill Hassan.
Another lively issue. Should employers have the right not to hire someone because they're a smoker? The House Labor Committee has passed a proposal making just such activity illegal. The committee heard testimony from several business groups arguing it is their right to hire employees who fit the company image and philosophy. Others argue a company should have no say over an employee's activity away from the workplace.
A 21-year-old Indianapolis man is charged with speeding, fleeing a police officer, and resisting arrest tonight after leading Indiana State Police on a 3-county chase this afternoon. Indiana State Police say Don Daniels is being treated for minor injuries at Methodist Hospital after he rammed his car into a parked state trooper's vehicle.
The vehicles were set up in a roadblock fashion pursuant to regulation by Indiana State Police standard. We left the suspect an avenue of escape. He opted not to take that avenue. He opted to try to ram the vehicle.
State police say Trooper David Furness suffered minor injuries in the accident. The investigators believe the chase spanned 50 miles with speeds in excess of 90 miles per hour. A Speedway family is happily reunited after a harrowing night. Sunday, little Jeremy and Michael Morris were kidnapped when a man stole the family van while they were sleeping in the back. Authorities say the boy's father, Mike Morris, left them in the van while he ran an errand in a Speedway Lindner store.
So when he kidnapped us, he came out here and he told us to get out of the car, and we got out of the car. And my brother over there woke me up because I was asleep. And I went in there and told the people that I was lost. Dropped us off.
The kidnapper van thief dropped the boys off in Morgan County, where they met a truck driver who called authorities and helped them return to their Speedway home safely. Police have a suspect in custody. He is a juvenile facing charges of stealing the van and criminal confinement.
The police are looking for a couple of criminals who beat and robbed a man on a dark Speedway street last month. Maybe you can help. Mark Spain has more on tonight's Crime Stoppers report.
It's January 14th, around 9:15 p.m. on the city's west side. The victim is walking south in the 1600 block of Georgetown Road. Suddenly, two men driving in a white older Buick approach the victim.
Guy, can you give me directions to 465?
No, I'm not from around here.
That's just what I wanted to hear.
The suspect beats the victim and then steals his wallet, which contains $170 in cash, credit cards, and a driver's license. After robbing the victim, the suspects take off north on Georgetown Road. The victim is left on the side of the road with a concussion. Both suspects in the car were white men. The passenger is described as 20 years old, 5'9", dark hair, slender build, and a beard. If you are a witness to this crime or have any information about the suspects, call Crime Stoppers at 637-2323 or 1-800-92-ALERT. Your anonymous tip could be worth a cash reward of up to $1,000. Mark Spain, News Center 13, Crime Stoppers.
20 minutes after 5 o'clock, time to check in with Don Hein. And Don, it was a basketball lover's paradise yesterday.
It really was. Oh, it really was. As a matter of fact, guys, I have some late basketball news for you right here. Rich Mount, who left Purdue earlier this year, has decided to go to Virginia Commonwealth to play for Sonny Smith. Remember who coached the Pacers, Chuck Person, among others? He sits out 1 year, then he has 2 more. Rich Mount goes to Virginia Commonwealth. Purdue having all sorts of problems yesterday with Indiana's defense and the way the officials called the game. This ended up being an over-and-back violation, But Gene Cady heartily disagreed. He thought there was no control of the ball, but the official said Jimmy Oliver controlled it last. I thought the official was wrong, too, but the tee was given, and Gene graciously acknowledged having been stuck it in the ear. That was something else, wasn't it? Now let's go to the NBA All-Star Game, and a truly embarrassing moment here. Dominique Wilkins is a tremendous leaper, but you'll see what he did on national television, and his peers will never let him forget about this one. He said, I only had 3/4 of a tank.
I didn't have any gas in the tank. Missed it. I was tight. And I think I tried to do that a little bit too early in the game for just to be getting in the game, but I was sitting there for a while. But it was fun anyway. It was a laugh.
Oh, poor guy. Later in about 20 minutes, I'll take you back to Saturday's Bedford North Lawrence-Martinsville game, and Dick Versace joins us to talk about the Knicks. Now let's go over to Market Square Arena, and here's Ronnie.
I think Dominic forgot to pump up, so he had to air out. That's what it is. Market Square Arena is the site. The Pacers are behind me. They're just finishing up their practice as they get ready to resume the NBA season when they take on the New York Knicks. I have more on them a little bit later in sports. But this weekend saw the ending of an era in the sport of boxing. As Sugar Ray Leonard stared across the ring at Terry Norris Saturday night in his first fight ever at historic Madison Square Garden in New York, little did he know he was looking straight ahead at defeat. Norris, the current WBC super welterweight champion, 11 years Leonard Jr. at 23, used his superior hand speed and power to knock down the once great Leonard twice en route to a lopsided, unanimous decision.
People would say, well, Ray, we told you so. But you guys know that I don't listen to anyone but myself. I had to find out for myself. I've always been a risk taker. And tonight was that risk that showed me or signified that it's time for me to call it quits. You know, I feel very happy that nothing happened to me, that I came out of the fight okay. Terry displayed a great deal of talent, speed. He showed me everything I used to show the guys in the past.
It was sad to witness this boxing great who had conquered the legends of time throughout his illustrious career, which had included the likes of Roberto Duran, a 4-time champion, Thomas Hitman Hearns, a 5-time champion, and middleweight great Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Leonard, whose Olympic gold medal performance dazzled the nation back in 1976, was the darling of the boxing world. However, like so many before him, he didn't know when to quit. However, the man who idolized him the most, Terry Norris, pulled the plug on one of boxing's brightest stars.
I kept telling him, come on, Ray. But, Ray, he just couldn't keep up, It turned out to be an easier fight than I thought it would be.
In all respect, Father Time caught up with Ray Leonard, and just like as expected, this warrior has no regrets.
I've always been one that had to find for himself. Terry Norris proved to be a better fighter, the quicker fighter, and if there was any young man that I want to take get the baton to and take over, it's Terry Norris.
I really hated to see it happen. I watched the fight at home with my family, and I said to myself, I can't believe what I'm seeing. But Sugar Ray Leonard at 34, might as well say Father Time, or the Rip Van Winkle disease, finally caught up to a great champion. It's too bad he had to go out that way.
Now, Ronnie, you have followed his career as you follow boxing very closely. He is a very gregarious and certainly an engaging man, but he did stay at the dance just a little too long, didn't he?
Oh, just too long. One fight too many.
Okay, Ronnie. Thank
Okay.
you. Coming up on Prime Time, another Hoosier family picks up a lot of cash jackpot. They say there's nothing like seeing your numbers come up.
I'll bet. And your children are the focus of attention on tonight's Health Matters. We'll look at concern about lead poisoning in Indianapolis.
And later, our special series adds up your family's financial situation here on Prime Time.
How do I know where to get my brakes done right?
Come to Midas. You get a lot of value for the price, and you get something else. Peace of mind. Knowing you get a thorough inspection by Midas-trained experts and a written estimate up front. Knowing every brake shoe and pad is guaranteed for as long as you own your car. And knowing the job will be done right. When it comes to brakes, nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
Now through March 17th at your participating Indianapolis Midas dealer for a $16.95 lube oil filter.
Folks, let me tell you what freedom means. It means being free to root for the baseball team you choose or to vote the way you want. It means being free to pay too much for sandwich steaks, I'm serious. You see, Quaker Made steaks cost much less than Steakums, even though Quaker Made is 100% pure beef, even though the steaks are the same size. So why do so many folks buy Steakums when Quaker Made costs less? Because it's a free country, and what you do doesn't have to make sense.
Your lights are located. Looking for a car loan with tax-deductible interest? I'm Rich Van Wyck. Coming up on Primetime at 6, I'll give you the assets and liabilities of the Equity Auto.
The Overhead Door Company has an important announcement. Our name is wrong. For some strange reason, people only think of us for overhead garage doors. But the Overhead Door Company has also sold and installed thousands of top-quality windows, storm doors, entry doors, and patio units. So when you need exterior doors or windows of any kind, or the best selection of garage doors and openers, look for the ribbon. It's a sure sign of the original Overhead Door Company of Indianapolis, in the Yellow Pages.
Attention all Americans 65 or older on Medicare. Secure Care Medicare Supplement Insurance with expanded benefits is now available in your state. Whether you have a Medicare supplement or not, consider the expanded benefits, affordable rates, and personal service of Secure Care. Call 1-800-642-2800. Don't miss this opportunity for free information on Secure Care from National Home Life. Call 1-800-642-2800. 1-800-642-2800 now.
On Health Matters tonight, the Marion County Health Department says the number of lead poisoning cases is up because public awareness to the problem is up. But Linda Ellsroth tells us there is still a push to screen children in Head Start programs because they are at a higher risk.
Is that her? I want to send you to Hollywood. It's over. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it.
Marion County Department of Health officials take a blood sample from 5-year-old Sarah. She is one of hundreds of Head Start children being screened for lead poisoning.
Can cause brain damage, damage to the nervous system, and even death.
The most common way children get lead poisoning, experts say, is from paint chips like this. Little children will often take chips of paint like this and eat them.
It's all over. That's it. It's all over.
Symptoms range from behavioral problems to learning disabilities. Denise Jackson is having her 4-year-old son screened.
I'm not certain that he does have the lead poisoning, but in the event that he do, I would like to get an early start on it.
If a child screens positive on this test, another blood sample is taken and then sent to a lab for further analysis. Linda Ellsroth, News Center 13.
Health officials say 3 children from the Head Start program are on a special diet after being diagnosed with lead poisoning. Tom.
A volunteer group of community leaders would like to get the word out about drug prevention, and they would like business leaders to help them do it. It is part of Project iStar, community-wide drug prevention program in Indianapolis middle and junior high schools. 25 of the largest companies were asked to promote drug use prevention within their work sites and to spread the message across the city. Those companies were recognized at a luncheon this noontime.
Drug prevention without the support of the power structure of the city, and that's we adults. And unless we're aware of what's going on, we can't support it.
In the coming weeks, you'll begin to see evidence of Project iStar. Several businesses are planning projects within their companies to spread the drug prevention message.
A Rush County couple are the latest Hoosiers to become millionaires. Tom and Ruth Hood of Milroy won the $2 million Lotto Cash jackpot in this Saturday drawing. Tom Hood says it was a thrill because he never wins anything.
This is the first time that I've won anything. I mean, I've never matched 4 numbers or 3 numbers. I haven't even had 3 numbers, I don't think. So it was very surprising when you look across the tag and see those numbers coming there and all of them's matching. You know, it's just an unbelievable experience.
The couple says they have no immediate plans for spending their money except to put their 19-year-old daughter Stephanie through college at IU. Tom Hood purchased 4 tickets at Dawson Service Station in Rushville and won by the quick pick. The 45-year-old millionaire works in data processing for the Indiana Department of Transportation.
There will no doubt be a lot of sunshine in their lives.
Boy, no doubt about it. I guess that's kind of neat, isn't it? Hey, we have some weather that is really more typical of the season. It may not be neat in your vocabulary, but we'll kind of compare notes and see what we come up with for the PL of this week, okay?
Okay. Bob's AccuWeather forecast is next here on Primetime.
That just opened freshness of mountain-grown Folgers
What if you could enjoy it more often than ever before? Well, now you can. Introducing the Folgers Freshness Pack. Ground roast Folgers that starts fresh and stays fresh a lot longer because our new plastic bottle and cap form a tight seal every time you close it. So every time you open it, the rich aroma of our mountain-grown beans has more just opened freshness and stays alluring and irresistible. So you can be too.
The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
The new Folgers Freshness Pack.
What a feeling, feeling fresh.
Introducing Fix-It Fresh with a crisp, clean feeling and a stronger hold than any other cream adhesive. A fresh new feeling and stronger hold are two new reasons to fix it and forget it.
Morning in Indiana. Some folks around here think it's the best time of the day. And a lot of those folks like to start their day with News Center 13 Sunrise. Every morning, Bruce Kopp, Linda Elsroth, Chuck Lofton, and Captain Casey bring you the latest news, weather, and News Center 13's exclusive helicopter traffic reports. Tomorrow morning, get your day off to the right start. Wake up to News Center 13 Sunrise.
How long has it been since you had something good? I mean, something delicious, something dynamite. Well, Taco Bell has the food I like. So good, so good, so good, so good. 3 menus. Indulge yourself with a chicken soft taco or a Mexican melt. Come on, burrito, taco, Nitro Supreme, 59, 79, 99 cents each. Well, runs over border, yes, understood. Gotta be Taco Bell, 'cause I know, oh, well, what's good. So good, so good.
Weather watchers across Indiana are members of Bob Gregory's AccuWeather team, which carries the A&MS seal of approval.
I want to thank you for the weather over the weekend and recommendation of where to eat.
Yeah.
You're social director
I have
here.
no responsibility for heartburn that follows, though, when you get into the onion stuff. Woo! Tastes good beginning, but then after, well. Hey, we got the coldest night of the season coming. No, not of the season, of the month. I better get my act together here. Low so far. Trying to hurry right along. 18 on the 1st. We'll probably go down to 15 tomorrow morning. But so far this month, we've been running over 12 degrees above the normal. So it'll feel different, but we're just getting a little closer to what is normal. And there you see the norms on the bottom, 37.20. We're at 32.22 today. It's overcast out. Well, let's call it sunny down at the station. I think the clouds have probably moved away from the airport by now, too. 31 out there, 32 downtown. Northwest wind at 14. And the barometric pressure, that's at 30.16, and it is rising. We'll put the clouds in motion here for you, showing the activity from the morning through the early afternoon hours. Over the Great Lakes region, you can see these clouds, and then the light line or clearing line moving to the southwest. And that, of course, will continue to move off to the east and out of our pictures. This really illustrates where the jet stream flow is, too. Watch down here. You can see all of the moisture move on into the area, and this may influence us later on, about midweek, tossing some moisture into the picture, and we'll get some cooler air from up north. So that's kind of our setup. In the meantime, we should stay just kind of high and dry here for the most part. Maybe a flurry in some spots to the southwest as this thing moves away tonight. There are some flurries back in the Illinois area, really just very light stuff. Here you see the temperatures at this hour. Chicago and South Bend with 24. They are reporting a flurry up there. But look where they had plenty of sunshine in St. Louis with 50 degrees. Here you can see the composite of Weather Service radar, some light flurries there, not even showing up in the South Bend area. Going to be rather cold, though. Look at this colder air dip all the way down way beyond the Ohio River here throughout the evening hours tonight. Recovery time tomorrow, though. Plenty of sunshine in the southwestern part of the area. A few more clouds to the north with maybe a flurry or two up around the Detroit area, and they will be in the mid-20s there. So basically, that is our setup. National weather picture will show this area of high pressure moving away. We will be between fronts. Some flurries should stay to our north. Then we'll watch out here to the southwest and some cooler air behind that front as it comes our way. So for tonight, let's call it maybe partly cloudy, especially off to the south and west of us early here. Not out of the question that somebody could get a flurry or two overnight, so keep that in mind. Overnight low will be 15 degrees. During the day tomorrow, then, we'll look at sunny to partly sunny conditions. Cold, rather high of 34. Winds out of the northeast 4 to 8 tonight. Variable 6 to 12 tomorrow. Partly cloudy tomorrow night with a low of 24. Some rain or snow late in the day on Wednesday or Wednesday night will hit our way. We'll top out at 40 degrees with the southwest flow ahead of this thing, so we think it's favoring rain. maybe some backlash flurries for us on Thursday, and then cold but brighter as we head on in toward the weekend with 30-degree highs for both Friday and Saturday. That's it in weather for right now. We'll see you in the next half hour and at 11 o'clock if you're not going to be with us.
You might have to hug and cuddle on Thursday to stay warm, which
That's
is appropriate for that day, right?
Oh, that's right. That is Valentine's Day.
Just reminding you that you have to do that.
We better make a note of that.
Good idea. Well, there's not enough low to moderate income housing to accommodate the working class poor. And that is why one community leader is doing something about it. Glendale Jones introduces us to tonight's Who's Your Hero, a man committed to helping others.
Each morning, Rudy Hightower goes to work with one goal in mind, helping low to moderate income families get quality housing, trying to help them break the poverty cycle.
Well, what is your name? I didn't get a chance to meet you. I'm Rudy Hightower.
LaShawn, name.
LaShawn? I did your application. I went over your application for you.
This is part of his dream here at Moselle Sanders Homes. It used to be the Crystal Glen Apartments, but Hightower's company took over the complex in November. Since then, some of the apartments have been renovated, like this one.
And as you can see, this is a very spacious kitchen. There's no problem there. I could cook a tremendous meal in here.
The concept is different here. Families who earn $5 to $7 an hour are targeted. There are social service counselors who work with those families, helping them manage their bills, their jobs, and more.
We want the families to realize that we care when they come in. We want them to know the various services that could be available. And we will work with them on getting GEDs or upgrading their jobs, anything like that.
More than half the staff members hired live in the complex. It's just another way to help people help themselves. Why? Well, the reason is simple. Growing up poor made Rudy Hightower realize not to forget others in the same boat.
I feel that I was lucky, so then, of course, we should try to help someone else.
In a couple of years, Hightower hopes to fill and renovate all 2,000 units, giving people a chance to afford a nice home, as he calls them, and letting them know someone cares.
I love this city. So every time we help a family, a kid, a senior citizen, whatever, you help in this city.
Glendale Jones, News Center 13.
Rudy is a neat guy. Well, our World Update is next on Primetime with a very busy day of developments in the Gulf War.
And a musical message is on its way to Saudi Arabia, a song of support from Hollywood.
Farming has always been a hands-on kind of business, but the makers of Counter have changed that. Introducing new Counter Lock and Load, the outstanding performance of Counter in convenient returnable containers. When locked onto specially fitted John Deere Maximerge hopper boxes, each sealed container opens automatically. Just lock it on, and it loads. Protect your crop, yourself, and the environment. New Counter Lock and Load.
If you'd seen the Saturn parking lot a few years ago, you wouldn't have seen a single Saturn car. And in the cafeteria, you wouldn't have heard about it. We were talking about other cars. We drove them, figured out what they were doing right, then took it a few steps further, improved on things, added new ideas. And now the new Saturn sedan's not at all like anyone else's. That's the great thing about building a car from scratch. You don't have to do it the way it's been done.
When you see news happening, call the exclusive News Watchers hotline at 639-NEWS or Cellular One mobile hotline tip at *13.
The law offices of Bill Hurst and his partners.
If you've been injured in an accident, one of the first decisions you face is choosing a lawyer to protect your interests.
In fact, a good lawyer may be the only way to achieve a fair settlement. The only way you have to deal with the power of the insurance company. They have lawyers protecting their interests. You need the same protection. I'm Bill Hurst. We'd like to use our experience to make sure you're treated fairly.
When you want to make sure your rights are protected, put Bill Hurst and his partners' experience on your side.
When we told Nike how we could design a communications network to actually help them run better, do you know what they told us?
It is not a quiet night in the Middle East areas reachable by Iraqi Scud missiles.
Air raid sirens shrieked in both Israel and Saudi Arabia. Here's Jim Condelis now with our World Update.
Eyewitnesses in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia say they saw 2 Patriot missiles launch into the sky, deflecting incoming weapons. There is no official confirmation of that interception. Earlier today, though, Iraq launched a Scud missile toward Israel. Patriot defense missiles there were launched, and debris from the impact showered Tel Aviv. Radio reports say no casualties.
The distraction is great, and I don't think that in all the Western world there was destruction like that since World War II as a result of bombardment. The needs are great, the damages are great, the economy is under strain.
News of this latest attack on Israel came as President Bush met with Israeli Defense Minister Moshe Aarons. On the U.S. offense, continued bombing from the air damaged a petrochemical plant and refinery in Baghdad over the weekend. Several major bridges were also destroyed by the air fire. Air fire has been so overwhelming, officials say over 15,000 Iraqi troops may have been killed. In other developments, Iraq announced all 17-year-olds should report for the draft. Iraq says the civilian death toll stands at 650, 750 wounded. President Bush conferred with Secretary of Defense Dick Cheney and Joint Chiefs Chairman Colin Powell. The two arrived in Washington last night after consulting with battlefront commanders. And a new moon is coming at the end of the week, offering a cover of darkness over the Middle East. Sources say an Allied ground attack is inevitable, but will also be unpredictable for Saddam Hussein. Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev says the war in the Gulf is getting out of hand. The Soviet leader is sending an envoy to Baghdad in hopes of persuading Saddam Hussein to give up Kuwait. And in the USSR, Lithuanians report no signs of new Soviet troop movements. Thousands of protesters, though, rallied in Leningrad, denouncing both Allied forces in the Gulf and independence movements in the Baltics. And finally, a star-studded chorus sends musical messages to the U.S. troops. More than 100 celebrities from music, film, and sports recorded a special song of support. The song is called Voices That Care, and the recording is expected to be released later this month. Profits from that song and the video will go to the USO and the American Red Cross Gulf Crisis Fund. The star-studded group included the voices of Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg, Chevy Chase, and many more. That's
probably a guaranteed hit, don't you think?
I think so.
All right, Jim. See you later.
In tonight's Family Matters, an issue every parent should be concerned with, AIDS. It's a disease spreading quickly through the teen population. Susan Parks joins us from the News Center, where she is working on tonight's Parent-Teen Quiz. Susan.
And to understand how many teens are affected, tonight's quiz looks forward into an older population. Tonight's quiz, follow along with us, is what % of people with AIDS are in their 20s? Is it 5%, 10%, or 20%? Now, keep in mind that the viral infection can lay dormant for more than a decade. We'll have that answer in just a minute, and tonight at 6 a.m. we're going to look at one group that is especially vulnerable to AIDS. That is the homosexual youth population. Tonight we'll find out if more teen homosexuals are coming out of the closet and what types of support programs are available to them.
Good. We'll look forward to that later. Thanks, Susan.
Before we check the results of our Parent-Teen Quiz, we would like to tell you about another test for your family tonight.
Can your budget pass the broke test?
A lot of money, and they're living from hand to mouth.
If that is your financial situation, don't miss our special report coming up after Don Hein Sports.
Hi again, everyone. On Sports Tonight, we're going to be talking to Dick Versace about the New York Knicks, and Ronnie talks to George Seifert of the 49ers.
Don Hein is next here on Primetime.
Here's the answer to today's Parenting Quiz. What % of people with AIDS are in their 20s? The answer, C, 20%, meaning they most likely contracted the disease sometime during their teen years. I'm Susan Parks. Coming up tonight at 6, I'll have a full...
This Parenting Quiz has been brought to you in part by Winona Hospital Behavioral Services Center and Indiana Gas, pure and simple.
Now's a great time to take off all the extra weight you've been wanting to lose, because right now you can pay for only a 5-pound program at Nutrisystem and lose the rest for free. Call 1-800-321-THIN. There's a right way to lose weight. Nutrisystem. Call 1-800-321-THIN.
It seems that every time you turn around these days, another pain reliever with ibuprofen in it is comparing itself to Tylenol. But you know what they can't say? They can't say they're gentler than Tylenol, because they're not. Tylenol won't irritate your stomach the way ibuprofen sometimes can. That's a medical fact. And is it any wonder that today hospitals use Tylenol 14 times more than ibuprofen? Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
Denny Beck of Beck Toyota, Indiana's #1 volume Toyota dealer for 4 straight years. It's tax sale time again, and we need to get our inventory as close to zero as we can by February 28th or pay the tax. We've slashed prices like never before. We have over 400 new and used vehicles in stock, and we're dealing. Top dollar for your trade-in and the lowest prices in town. We live up to our reputation at Beck Toyota. So see us for the best prices and now 9.9 financing for this month only. Nobody deals like Beck Toyota.
One of H.H. Gregg's greatest strengths is our huge inventory. Unlike some of our competitors, we stock what we advertise. But right now, our strength is a weakness because it's inventory tax time. That's why we've drastically reduced the price on this quality cable-ready Sony 13-inch color TV with sleep timer and remote control to only $279 at H.H. Gregg. It's simple. Our inventory strength means even greater savings for you this month. Shop H.H. Gregg's tax relief sale today.
Donald, the thought I had watching yesterday is amplified by some of the guys at the gym today is that Vegas and Arkansas looked almost like NBA teams.
They really did.
They are head and shoulders above a lot of the Division I schools.
I think that the only thing that, well, there'd be several things that would hurt them, obviously, against the pros. You really can't make that kind of an argument until you see those two. But it'll be interesting when we get to the Olympics to see what kind of guys can do it. Yeah. So, and Versace is going to talk about that next week. He's going to pick his all-Olympic team. How you doing?
We're doing fine.
Got off in a little tangent there. Our Pacers and the Knicks in town tomorrow night. And in our regular Monday night talk with Dick Versace, that was our first subject. Dick, let's talk a bit about the New York Knicks here. I can't believe a team with Patrick Ewing in the middle has won only 20 games. What's the problem there?
Well, I think the problem is that they traded away an asset that they shouldn't have traded away without getting something in return. I think anytime you give away points without getting points back, you make a big mistake. So when they let Johnny Newman go to the Charlotte Hornets for basically nothing, they got nothing in return. They didn't get any draft picks. They didn't get another player. They lost points, and then they counted on Kiki Vanderway to make up the difference. And Gerard Mustaf, a talented but very, very young rookie. It just didn't happen, and the chemistry didn't fall together either.
So a guy like Ewing can't be counted on to be the dominant type person that's going to carry the ball club anyway?
Well, I think he has been dominant, but I think the problem is that no one player is going to dominate in this league. And I think that in Patrick's case, it's too much to ask of him to carry the load rebounding-wise, scoring-wise, every night over an 82-game schedule. And I think what happens also is that you get a little dissension when he's trying to do too much. I think he's trying to do it out of a sense of responsibility, but I think it's causing other problems.
Dick, isn't it difficult for a postman, a guy in the middle, to be a leader as such?
Well, you know, there's the classic story of the captain, Willis Reed, who was the leader of the 2 Knicks championship teams that he played on in '69 and I believe in '72 or '3. And I think that it's possible, but you have to have the personality. Normally, the big guys don't have that kind of personality.
Now we'll talk more Pacers and Chuck Person at 6 o'clock tonight. You know, there's a big reason UNLV is still the nation's best college team. Despite some singularly excellent bursts by #2 Arkansas at home to the Rebs yesterday, the Rebs took that and then gave them this and more in return. UNLV wins easily. So this week, it's Las Vegas. Ohio State is #2, Arkansas 3. IU remains 4th, then Duke. Now here's Lee in yesterday's IU-Purdue encounter.
Hey, when was the last time you saw this happen? Purdue's Gene Cady throwing a fit, and Indiana's Bob Knight? What? Under control? Well, Knight had good reason to keep his cool. His Hoosiers were playing some pretty good defense against the Boilers, and they were turning turnovers into points in a hurry.
Well, it's just pressure defense. You know, we just do the things that, you know, that Coach wants done, and the things he's taught us, you know, since we got here, and look, you know, we came out and we did those things.
Those things include getting more pressure on the perimeter and letting each other know what's happening. That's called getting to know your teammates better.
You know, a year help any players. And, you know, we came out and we just talked and stopped some guys from getting the ball outside and getting their good shots. So, you know, we really helped each other.
But while the defense was good, the offense left a little to be desired. Right, Coach?
I didn't like our movement at all offensively today. I just, Bailey didn't move worth a damn, and I don't think Chaney, when I look at the tape here in a minute, I'm going to be very pleased with Chaney's movement on offense. And I'm already displeased with some of Anderson's shot selection.
Hopefully the Hoosiers will put together a complete package before the Ohio State game on Sunday. I'm Lee Owens, News Center 13 Sports.
Number 1 versus top 5, Bedford North Lawrence on the Stars court Saturday night. Spirits were definitely in the stratosphere for this one, but Ryan calmed Dad Tim with 33. Problem was, Bedford's coach's son Alan Bush got 30 for Dan and canceled him out. Martinsville's Chris Wilburn could have won it for the Artesians in regulation with a conversion of the steal, but he took off a bit early and it caromed off. Here's the game winner in overtime. The Stars' Chad Mills got the call. It wasn't a pretty shot, but it did the trick. And BNL wins 86-84.
Well, Mr. Bush just said get the ball and penetrate in, but didn't have anything, kick it out. But I just let the shot go and hoped it went in.
So this proves that there are at least 2 excellent high school teams in the state and undoubtedly several more. Now Ronnie's with us here from Market Square. Ronnie?
Well, the Knicks are going to be taking to the court pretty soon for practice, Don, but basketball is not the topic of this story. It's about football, the combines. I'm going to introduce you to a coach who's seen it all. While the NFL Combine comes to an end, some of the big names in the NFL will even get bigger. George Seifert, head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, is always looking forward to this NFL gathering of its top prospects.
It's really the first time that most of us had an opportunity to see a lot of these players. You know, we've been busy with our season, and so it's an introduction for us, and therefore very important because so many times the first impressions are one that are lasting and will maintain these impressions probably up until draft day.
Seifert and the 49ers failed to fulfill their dreams of repeating with a Super Bowl victory when the New York Giants defeated them at Candlestick on Matt Barr's dramatic field goal. George knew all along that the Niners' path to the Super Bowl would see the Giants standing in their way.
After we played New York in that first ball game on Monday night, we certainly had the feeling that we'd probably see them again. They're an outstanding football team. They play about as sound a football game as anybody has played since I've been in professional football. So it didn't surprise me that we played for the championship, and unfortunately for us, we lost, but they were an outstanding club and certainly deserved to win the game and go on from there.
George, I can imagine it was quite strange for you this past Super Bowl. It's been a long time since you've watched it on TV.
I was kind of a bad sport, and I worked in the house. I cleaned the garage. I mowed the lawn. I raked leaves. I did everything I could so I didn't have to watch the game. Yeah.
George Seifert, talk about not watching that game. Don, coming up tonight at 6 o'clock, I have talked to Chuck Person, as well as LaSalle Thompson, who recently purchased a home over the weekend in L.A. Tell you about that later.
All right. I am looking forward to that. And also coming up 6, we're going to talk about the Bedford North Lawrence Stars and Ohio State. We'll see you then.
Don, I heard some nice things about your Hoosier Hoops interview with Gene Cady.
Hey, we're having a real kick with that show, and I think we're going to have Barry Collier this week, so
Great.
Look forward to that one.
It was a good job.
All right.
Coming up next is the recession putting a squeeze on your family budget.
Some tips are next in our special report on your family finances. Stay with us.
Everyone claims low prices. Fretter proves it. A Panasonic combination microwave convection oven. Montgomery Ward's price was $309.99. H.H. Gregg beat Ward's price, and Highland beat Gregg. But Fretter's everyday price was by far the lowest, more than $60 below Ward's. More proof. It's always better to shop at Fretter.
We all know a teacher who's special. That's why WTHR and the Associated Group want to say thanks to the Shining Star Award. We'll honor 5 Central Indiana teachers for their excellence in teaching. You can nominate any teacher in any public, private, or parochial school. You'll need a nomination form, so just send a stamped, self-addressed envelope to this address.
Then return your nomination to us by February 22nd. The Shining Star Awards, because our teachers deserve our recognition.
Own a video camera? Think news. Enlist in News Center 13's Camcorder Corps and see your news video broadcast across Indiana. Write WTHR for details.
Bank One, the bank that introduced America's first 24-hour banking machine back in the 70s, recently asked its customers what new service they wanted from a bank in the 90s. And while Bank One can't do everything they ask, we will do whatever it takes to please our customers. Within reason.
If you'd seen the Saturn parking lot a few years ago, you wouldn't have seen a single Saturn car. And in the cafeteria, you wouldn't have heard about it. We were talking about other cars. We drove them, figured out what they were doing right, then took it a few steps further, improved on things, added new ideas. And now the new Saturn sedan's not at all like anyone else's. That's the great thing about building a car from scratch. You don't have to do it the way it's been done.
How are you dealing with the recession in these uncertain times? Tonight on News Center 13, Bruce Kopp begins our special report to test your financial fitness during the economic downturn. He calls it the broke test.
Bankruptcy. It's become the last resort for a record number of Hoosiers. Just check the Sunday paper. In fine print, half a page filled with listings, some 250 for the last week of January. Last year, there were a record number of cases filed, more than 15,000. How broke are you? This week, take the broke test. We'll ask you 10 questions to assess your financial fitness. First, savings. How much money do you have in savings? A, 2 weeks take-home pay. B, 3 months take-home pay. C, 6 months take-home pay.
2 weeks take-home pay.
Under 2 weeks take-home pay.
My name's Terry Manning. I'm calling from Channel 13.
In a random phone survey, we polled 100 Hoosiers for their answers. Nearly half, 49%, say 2 weeks. 22% say 3 months. 29% say 6 months or more. How much should you have in savings?
We generally recommend at least 3 months of take-home pay. This would allow a person to live a normal lifestyle if they've lost a job, for example, and it gives them an adequate amount of time to find a replacement job.
Next question. What fraction of your take-home pay do you save? A, 0 to 2%, B, 3 to 6%, or C, above 7%? If you said 0 to 2%, you're in the majority. 40% say they saved that much, 30% saving 3 to 6%, 30% saving more than 7%.
Well, if you're talking about saving for retirement, they should be saving above 7%. The younger they are, the less they have to save. If you're in your 40s, you probably should be saving at least 10%.
How much you can save depends on many factors, and this week you'll see how Hoosiers are dealing with the demands of bills, insurance, housing, and retirement. This week with the broke test. Bruce Kopp, News Center 13.
And tomorrow, can you become addicted to credit cards? That plus our survey results on how Hoosiers pay their bills. You'll see where you stack up.
And coming up at 6 o'clock, with car loans becoming harder to find, you could end up paying more in the long run. That's at 6 tonight.
Stay with us. This is News Center 13 Primetime, and more is coming your way.
It takes a lot to shock him in Hollywood, and this is the murder that shocked them all. Now Entertainment Tonight gets the inside story on one of Hollywood's most gruesome crimes, the puzzling death of the woman they call the Black Dahlia. How has her killer eluded police for more than 4 decades? Why are detectives still on the case? We'll talk to eyewitnesses who remember, and 2 researchers who believe they've solved the case that won't die. The Black Dahlia murder. Get the inside story on Entertainment Tonight.
Entertainment Tonight, Monday at 7.